Welcome back to the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're answering the age-old question, and by age I mean a couple months old question, and that is, why the heck is the DLC called the Hidden Treasures of Area Zero? Or the Hidden Treasure, I think it's singular. But either way, what does this DLC have to do with Area Zero? We see in the trailer that you will be going to places outside of Paldea. It's even all over the promotional material for this DLC that you were stepping outside Paldea's borders. If they have pushed anything about this DLC, it's that it takes place outside of Paldea. Kitakami is clearly Japanese inspired. A lot of people think it's the Tohoku region of Japan, so it's probably way over with like Johto, Kanto, Sinnoh, and then Blueberry Academy, that's in the middle of the ocean. None of this is Paldean. So why are we calling this DLC the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, a location in Paldea? Well, because it obviously will connect to it, but not just will it connect to it, I do think that this DLC will partially take place in Area Zero, specifically more likely in the Indigo Disc, but perhaps the Teal Mask could as well. So we see in the Indigo Disc that we are going to encounter the Pokemon Terapagos. Terapagos has been already teased to us in Scarlet and Violet. This is well-known knowledge. This is pretty common knowledge, but Terapagos is teased in the Scarlet or Violet book, and it talks about how they basically saw this thing in Area Zero. So that would imply to me that Terapagos is located in Area Zero, and I would say that this is further backed up by in the latest trailer we got for the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero. In the cutscene with Terapagos, you can kind of see in the background there are some crystals that look very similar to the ones in Area Zero. In fact, they look exactly like them. So I think this Terapagos cutscene takes place in Area Zero. And another thing that I would say backs this up is the fact that this cutscene is very zoomed in on Terapagos, whereas in the cutscene that appears previously in the trailer with Ogerpon, it pans out. It shows Ogerpon on this like platform. It's, you know, it doesn't mind showing us where Ogerpon is. But with Terapagos, they're wanting to keep it a secret because I think they want this to be a big reveal. Like, I think they're wanting us to think you're going outside Paldea. What? You're going back to Area Zero? But for the record, I think naming the DLC the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero kind of killed any surprise momentum they're going to have there. But yeah, I do think that Terapagos is located in the Area Zero, and I think that we'll get an expansion of Area Zero, to be completely honest. I think we'll be able to go further into it. There's a lot of mysteries to Area Zero that we have yet to uncover. You know, obviously the biggest ones are the fact that Terapagos is, you know, a thing. We already know about it. It's supposed to be in Area Zero, so it would be really weird if we just instead encountered it in the middle of the ocean. Obviously, they're going to tie Terapagos into Area Zero. Then there is the fact that there are these Paradox Pokemon that, you know, we haven't yet seen. Well, we've seen two of them. We have Walking Wake and Iron Leaves, and then presumably I would think that we're going to get Paradoxes for Raikou and Entei and Cobalion, Terrakion, respectively. The reason I think this is because if you look at the drawing that had teased these Pokemon in the Scarlet and Violet book, they are a combination of all three swords or all three beasts. So I think this is because probably the artist that imagined this Pokemon drew it up saw glimpses at each of the three Pokemon and just assumed they were all the same thing when they were in fact not. So yeah, I do think that we're going to see these Paradoxes. Also, again, they're kind of, you know, they were found in Area Zero. They were imagined to be in Area Zero. So again, you would think you would encounter these in Area Zero. And I do think that they will play an important role in the story because if you look at Walking Wake and Iron Leaves, we haven't been given really any concrete information on them. If you look at their dex entries inside Pokemon Home, it talks about how they're still gathering data on this Pokemon. They don't really have anything concrete on these Pokemon yet. So again, kind of just implying to us that because we'll get DLC entries for them, you know, whether that's in the Teal Mask or the Indigo Disc, we're going to get it there. There is also, and I think this could be connected, the mystery of what Pokemon attacked Arven's Mabostiff. You know, Arven, his Mabostiff was very sick. That was a major part of the game, specifically in the Path of Legends quest in Scarlet and Violet. you basically find out that Mabosstiff was injured by some Pokemon in Area 0. Arven does not say what Pokemon. I think at first, I kind of... My knee-jerk reaction would be that it was the evil Koraidon or the evil Miraidon, but the fact that Arven, you know, never said that, you know, never said, that's it, that's the Pokemon that attacked my Mabosstiff, you know, that implies to me that, no, we haven't seen this Pokemon yet. So I do think that this Pokemon could be Terapagos, but I had a comment previously mention that they think it'll be one of the Paradoxes, and I think that's so much better. So I think it'll be either the Paradox of Cobalion, Terrakion, Virizion, or the Paradox of Entei, Raikou, or Suicune. So I do think that's definitely it. I think they're going to tie that story in together. You know, I do think they're going to do more with Arven. Arven was kind of left on a weird note. You know, he has kind of brought this to our attention that it doesn't make sense how we saw Paradox Pokemon, how Heath saw Paradox Pokemon, even though that was before the Time Machine was ever made by his parents. So this would, you know, imply that we're going to get an answer to that, or maybe they won't, and they'll just leave it at that. That would make it a paradox, so maybe that's the case, but I think they will give us an explainer to that. I do also think that we could get to see more of Arven's story pan out just because his character doesn't have anything at the end of the game. You know, he even kind of has this line where he's like, oh, great, so Nemona's still the student council president. She's organizing this Academy Ace tournament. You know, the player character is hailed as a hero. Penny is now working for the Pokemon League. Where's that leave me? And I think that that could be a plot that's explored in DLC, is finding, you know, Arven's purpose. And there's other evidence to suggest that we will get some character development for the main cast of Scarlet and Violet. There's also the fact that there are these two characters in the data mine called Billy and Onair. A lot of people think that that is Nemona's parents. You know, that's not confirmed, that's just speculation, but that would imply some Nemona love, and then there's, again, all this stuff with Arven. It really makes sense that we're going to do that, and I think the way to do that is to go back into Area 0. You're not going to be able to finish these Paldean character stories outside of Paldea. I think you need to go back to Area 0, probably with these characters, to wrap up that story. Now, another thing with Area 0 is the fact that an expansion would make sense because of all these weird symbols and plates and still mysteries there, like the engraving in the cave where you can find Roaring Moon or Iron Valiant, and the big cave that like overlooks the Time Machine. There's this metal plate that apparently can't be scratched. There's these symbols that appear on the logos of Scarlet and Violet in the four corners. No explanation of what they are, but they can be found in Area 0. So I think we're going to delve a little bit more into this, why they're here, all that fun stuff for sure. And you may be thinking, okay, but if there's an expansion of Area 0, would that not have been part of the DLC? Like, would that not have been, you know, either A, just its own part, or B, would that not be, you know, advertised? And I think, again, they're wanting to keep this a surprise. But I do think that something to remember is that they kind of did expand on mainland Galar when they did Sword and Shield's DLC. Now, they didn't add a new area in mainland Galar, but they did add some things that were accessible in mainland Galar. For one, if I'm not mistaken, there were new clothing options in boutiques. For two, you could now get the Battle Ready mark in the Battle Tower. So, you know, that was something. And then, obviously, the Crown Tundra, the biggest thing here is that it brought the Galarian Star Tournament that you can take on in Winden. So, again, all these things were expansions on mainland Galar. They weren't something that took place in Isle of Armor or Crown Tundra. So, we could see an expansion to Area 0. And I don't think this would be large enough to be its own area. I think this would be really small. Like, it'd probably be just a little cavern where Terapagos is that's, like, filled with crystals. Maybe Heath will show up. I know that seems confusing because the guy should long be dead by now, but Heath is in the data mine as like a character that like we could encounter, so that implies that possibly Heath could show up, but either way I wouldn't be surprised. The whole point is, since the name of the game is Hidden Treasure of Area 0, we are going to return to Area 0. I don't think we're going to find that treasure outside of Paldea, outside of Area 0 even. I do think we'll return to Area 0, and we will find the treasures there. So that's just kind of a quick rundown of all the reasons we could go back to Area 0, all the things that we need to wrap up in Area 0, and again, they gotta be wrapped up in Area 0. I will be so upset if there are Paradox Pokemon running around Kitakami with no explanation. They're just like, here are the other ones, don't go back to Area 0. That'd be dumb. But yeah, be sure to let me know your thoughts on this. Be sure to let me know if you think that we will get Paradoxes of the other 2 beasts and the other 2 swords. Let me know all that in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all of our future videos. And until next time, I'll see all of you later.